Part 1. The First Night Alone. My name is Lily. I am 23 years old. I work at Ashwood Diner. It is an old diner at the edge of our small town. The diner stays open 24 hours. Most nights it is empty after midnight. I had worked there for 2 months. I usually worked the evening shift. I liked my job. The people were nice. The pay was okay. I liked talking to the old men who came in for coffee late at night. But one Friday night, my manager, Joe, told me I had to cover the night shift alone. "Don't worry, Lily," he said. "Nothing happens here at night. Just keep the coffee hot. Lock the door if you feel scared." I smiled and said okay. I did not want to say no. I needed the money. So at 11, Joe left. I stood behind the counter. The clock on the wall ticked slowly. The neon sign outside buzzed. The smell of old fries and coffee filled the air. By midnight, the diner was empty. I made myself a cup of tea. I sat at a booth near the window. I looked at the dark parking lot. There was only my old car under the yellow light. I did not know that my first night alone would be the start of something I would never forget. Part 2. The First Strange Customer. It was around 2 a.m. when I heard the bell above the door. I jumped. I did not see anyone come in. I stood up and walked to the counter. A man sat at the far end. He wore a long dark coat. He looked wet, like he had walked through rain. But outside, it had not rained all day. I forced a smile. "Good evening, sir. Can I get you something?" He did not look at me. His head was down. He spoke in a low voice. "Coffee, black." I nodded and went to pour coffee. I felt his eyes on me, but when I looked, he was still staring at the table. I took the cup to him. "Here you go," I said. "Need anything else?" He slowly lifted his head. His face was pale. His eyes were dark and deep. He smiled, but it did not look right. "You should leave this place," he said. His voice was cold. I laughed nervously. "Sorry?" "Leave before it finds you," he whispered. I froze. "Before what finds me?" He did not answer. He looked out the window. I turned to see what he saw. There was nothing there. When I looked back, the man was gone. The door did not open. The bell did not ring. The cup of coffee sat on the table, still full. Part 3. Footsteps in the hallway. After that, I felt cold. I checked the back door. It was locked. I checked the bathrooms, empty. I told myself I was tired. Maybe I imagined the whole thing. I sat back at the counter. I tried to read a magazine, but every few minutes I heard footsteps in the hallway behind the kitchen. Tap, tap, tap. I thought maybe it was Joe playing a prank. I called out, "Joe? Is that you?" No answer. The steps stopped. Then I heard something fall in the storage room. I grabbed a flashlight and went to check. I opened the door to the storage room. Shelves lined the walls, full of old cans and boxes. The air smelled dusty. On the floor was a jar of pickles. Broken glass and green liquid spread across the tiles. I looked around. No one was there. But on the wall above the broken jar were words scratched into the paint. "It lives here." I dropped the flashlight. It rolled away, casting strange shadows on the walls. I backed away, my heart racing. Part 4. The Call. I ran back to the counter. I picked up the phone and called Joe. He did not answer. I left him a message, my voice shaking. "Joe, I think someone broke in. Please call me back." I locked the front door. I turned off the neon sign. I hoped no one else would come in. The clock struck 3 a.m. I sat on a stool behind the counter, staring at the door to the kitchen. The phone rang. I jumped so hard I knocked over a cup. I picked up the phone. "Hello, Joe?" At first, there was only static, then a voice, a whisper. "Lily." It was not Joe's voice. It was a woman's voice, soft and sad. "Who is this?" I asked. "Help me." The voice said, "Where are you? Who is this?" "Behind you." I turned so fast I felt dizzy. No one was there. The line went dead. Part 5. The Basement Door. I wanted to run out the back door and drive away, but my keys were in the storage room. I left them on a shelf when I first started my shift. I did not want to go back there, but I had to. I grabbed a big kitchen knife and the flashlight. I opened the storage room door. The broken jar was still there. The words on the wall seemed deeper now, like they were bleeding. I found my keys on the shelf. As I reached for them, I heard a soft knock. It came from the basement door. No one used the basement. Joe always kept it locked. I saw that the lock was broken now. The door was open a crack. Another knock, this time louder. "Hello?" I whispered. No answer. I slowly pushed the door open. Cold air hit my face. The basement stairs disappeared into darkness. I heard crying, a woman's voice, soft and broken. "Help me." It was the same voice from the phone. I stepped back. I wanted to close the door, but then I saw something move at the bottom of the stairs. A pale face, eyes wide open, a woman in a white dress. She crawled up the steps slowly. Her fingernails scratched the wood. I slammed the door shut and ran. Part 6, The Stranger Returns. I hid behind the counter. My hands were shaking. I dialed 911, but the line was dead. No signal. Then the bell above the door rang again. I peeked over the counter. The man in the dark coat was back. He stood in the middle of the diner, dripping wet. "You did not leave," he said. "Who are you?" I cried. "What do you want?" "I tried to warn you," he said. "Now it knows you are here." He pointed at the window. I looked outside. The parking lot was empty. But then I saw it, a dark shape crawling under the streetlight. Long arms, no face, moving toward the diner. "What is that?" I whispered. "It lives here. It feeds on fear. It found you," the man said. He turned and walked out the door. The bell rang. He vanished into the night. Part 7, The Thing in the Diner. I ran to the back door. I fumbled with my keys. My hands were too sweaty. I dropped them again. The front door creaked open. The thing was inside now. I heard wet footsteps. Something dragged across the floor. I hid in the kitchen, behind the fridge. I held my breath. The thing moved slowly, sniffing the air. I saw its shadow through the crack. Tall, thin, crawling on all fours. It made a sound like a baby crying and a dog growling at the same time. It stopped in front of the fridge. I closed my eyes. I prayed it would not find me. Then silence. I opened my eyes. It was gone. Part 8. The Truth. I waited. Minutes passed. I crawled out. I had to leave. I had to find help. As I stepped into the hallway, I heard someone talking. A radio? I followed the sound. It came from Joe's office. I opened the door. The light was on. Papers were everywhere. On the desk was an old tape recorder, playing a tape. "It lives in the walls. We should never have built here. The well is under the basement." I picked up an old newspaper clipping. "Ashwood Diner built on site of old well. Woman found dead." Another paper had Joe's handwriting. "Don't stay after midnight. If you hear it, don't answer. If you see it, don't run. It feeds on fear." I heard the crying again. The woman in white stood in the corner. She raised her hand and pointed at the basement. Part 9. The final choice. I wanted to run, but I had to know the truth. I grabbed a flashlight and a hammer. I opened the basement door. The crying got louder. I went down the steps, one by one. The air was wet and cold. I smelled old earth and rotten wood. At the bottom I saw the old stone well. Its lid was cracked. The woman stood beside it. She looked at me with empty eyes. "Help me," she said. "What do you want?" I asked. "Free me." She pointed at the lid. I walked closer. My hands shook as I pushed the stone away. Inside the well was black water. Bubbles rose to the top. I saw faces, twisted, screaming. I realized they were the thing's victims. The woman whispered, "Bury it." Suddenly the thing was behind me. I heard its breath. I turned and saw its face, no eyes, no mouth, just black. I picked up the hammer. I hit the old beams above the well. The wood cracked. The ceiling started to fall. The thing screamed, a terrible, inhuman sound. The woman smiled and faded away like mist. The beams crashed down, sealing the well. The thing fell into the darkness, dragging the evil with it. Part 10. Morning Light. I woke up in the hallway. Sunlight shone through the dirty basement window. Birds sang outside. I climbed the stairs. The diner was empty. The tables were normal. The neon sign buzzed in the morning light. I walked outside. My car was still there. I drove away without looking back. Joe found me 3 days later. He told me he sold the diner. They would tear it down. I never worked a night shift again. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still hear the bell above the door. I still see the woman in white. And I wonder if the thing is really gone, or if it still lives somewhere, waiting for someone to work the night shift at Ashwood Diner. The Return. 6 months passed. I tried to forget Ashwood Diner. I moved to another town. I got a job at a small bookstore. I never worked nights again. But sometimes I saw shadows move where they shouldn't. Sometimes I heard footsteps when I was alone. I told myself it was all in my head. Then, one evening, I got a letter. No name, no return address. Just my name, Lily Carter, written in dark ink. Inside was an old photograph. It was the Ashwood Diner, but older, black and white. Standing in front was a woman in a white dress. Her eyes were empty. Behind her in the diner's window was a shadow, tall, thin, crawling. Under the photo were 4 words scratched in ink. "It lives with you." Part 12. The dream's night. I dreamed I was back in the diner. The neon sign flickered. The bell above the door rang over and over. The man in the dark coat sat at the counter. He looked at me. "You can't run from it, Lily," he said. The woman in white stood by the coffee machine. Her mouth opened wide but made no sound. Then the thing crawled out from under a booth. Its long arms reached for me. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. I woke up shaking. My bedsheets were wet, like I had been in rain. My window was open. I never opened my window. On my mirror, written in steam, were the words, "Help me." Part 13, the investigation. I could not sleep. I needed answers. I went back to Ashwood. The diner was gone, just broken bricks and weeds where it once stood. At the town library, I found old records. I learned that before the diner, there was a farmhouse on that land. In 1922, a woman named Ruth Ashwood drowned in the old well. People said her husband pushed her. He claimed she fell. After she died, the farmhouse burned down. People heard crying in the night. Then they built the diner. Bad things happened. Cooks vanished. Workers disappeared. Joe knew. That's why he wrote, "It lives in the walls." I found one last clue, an old map. The well was never sealed properly. It went deep, deeper than any normal well. Some said it connected to something older, something hungry. Part 14, Joe's Secret. I tracked down Joe. He lived in a trailer on the edge of town. He looked older, thinner. When he opened the door, he saw me and froze. "You should not be here, Lily," he said. "It's following me," I said. "You knew. You have to help me." He let me in. His trailer smelled like stale coffee and cigarettes. He had old papers everywhere. "It found you because you stayed," he said. "It feeds on fear, but once it touches you, it never lets go. The only way to stop it is to finish what we started." I asked him what that meant. He showed me a small box. Inside was a piece of broken stone, part of the old well. "We need to seal the well forever, not just with wood and dirt. We must burn it, salt it, bury it with the stone. If we don't, it'll find another place, another diner, another town." Part 15, back to Ashwood. That night, Joe and I went back to the diner's ruins. The moon was full. The air smelled like rain, though the sky was clear. Joe carried the stone. I carried salt and gasoline. We found the spot. The hole was still there, covered in weeds and broken boards. Joe looked at me. "Don't listen to it. Don't look at it, no matter what it shows you," he said. We pulled the boards away. Cold air rushed out. I smelled earth and something rotten. We poured salt into the hole. Joe lit a fire. Flames danced, but the hole seemed to swallow them. Then I heard it, crying, Ruth's voice. "Help me! Lily, help me!" I looked down and saw her face. She reached up. Her hand was pale, bones showing through the skin. I wanted to grab her, to pull her out. But Joe yelled, "It's not her! It's the thing!" I stepped back. Joe threw the stone into the fire. The ground shook. Smoke rose from the hole. I heard screams, not just Ruth, but dozens of voices. The flames turned blue. The ground cracked. Then silence. The fire went out. The hole was gone. Just dirt. Part 16, the final goodbye. Joe and I sat on the grass. Dawn was breaking. Birds sang in the trees. "Is it over?" I asked. Joe looked tired. He nodded. "For now. If anyone builds here again, it may come back. But for now, you're free." I left Ashwood that morning. I never went back. Joe died 3 months later. Heart attack, they said. Sometimes I still dream of the diner. Sometimes I hear the bell above the door when I'm alone. But I know what to do now. I keep salt by my door. I never work the night shift. And if I ever hear "help me" again, I will not answer.